He's made a whole life out of just saying things that aren't true and moving on as if they are. Unfortunately for him, that doesn't work when there are missiles involved. In missiles versus bullshit, the missiles win. This guy is about as close to a deal with Iran as he is to touching his toes right now. I mean, this war, which, by the way, he started for no reason. This has been a disaster of epic proportions for the White House and for the country. And so now, to distract us from that disaster he created.
On Wednesday, Trump literally declared, boy, man, they just can't get enough of the AI-generated stuff, right? He declared mission accomplished in Iran, posting this image of himself looking over George W. Bush and the Ayatollah beneath AI fighter jets that appear to be missing half their tail fins. Mission accomplished.
Trump has been taking a victory lap over this purported deal with Iran that no one has seen. The White House hasn't released any of it. They haven't released it to Congress or to the press or anyone, but the president has been selling it as hard as he can. He wrote, Iran has agreed to never have a nuclear weapon. Also, the story that the U.S. is paying Iran $300 million is fake news put out by the Democrats, which is funny because the story is not that the U.S. is paying $300 million. It's that we're paying $300 billion with a B. You know, a lot of people don't know billion has a B. Especially the Democrats. At this point, it's not even a deal, by the way. It's a memorandum of understanding. It's a page and a half long, and while we may not know exactly what's in it, what we do know is that no one hammers out a memorandum of understanding like the brilliant tactician who orchestrated this one.
Well, President Trump, this has now been well established, is the greatest negotiator.
Mr. Trump is a master negotiator.
Donald Trump is a master negotiator.
He is the master negotiator.
President Trump is a master negotiator.
President Trump is a master negotiator.
President Trump is a master negotiator.
President Trump is the best negotiator on the planet.
President Trump's a brilliant and master negotiator.
No, I couldn't agree more, hairy drunk toddler in a suit. And that is why today Atlantic City is the richest, most luxurious tourist destination in the world. You'd think the Stormy Daniels negotiation alone would disabuse them of this notion that he is a master anything other than Bader. Our dear old Uncle Scam, now that he has this behind him, he's already on to the next thing.
The lake change, Lake of America, was something I've been thinking about for a long time, actually. As you know, we took something called the Gulf of Mexico, we changed it, and now it's very routinely the Gulf of America. So if you think about it, we have a Gulf and we have a lake. Now all we need is an ocean. So maybe we'll have to change the name of the Atlantic and or the Pacific. Maybe we'll change them both.
Sure, buddy, go ahead. Change them both. Change them both to what? American Ocean 1, American Ocean 2? Knock yourself out. Right all over the place with your Sharpie. You're doing great. Of course, it's not the first time we've seen Trump try to reorder reality with a map and a magic Sharpie. Remember this one? Or the hurricane tracks that he drew? See? He drew in there by Alabama. To, of course, the aforementioned Gulf of Mexico, which you heard Trump crow about just then. That was a few weeks after returning to office when, again, he was at his strongest, right? It's like, I am the king, and now it's Gulf of America. But now, Lake America? Lake America? You sad weirdo? Nobody wants this. You know what they want? They want cheaper gas. Just like the apparently AI-generated map the White House put out on social media to hype Lake America, a map that places Washington, D.C. inside North Carolina. Why not? And like the other anti-Canada post by the White House this week, a photograph of a bald eagle attacking a Canadian goose, though commentators immediately noted the image comes from a 20-minute clash between those birds last year in Ontario when the eagle descended on the goose unprovoked, and then the goose ultimately fought him off. Trump also has an answer to the rising price of groceries, especially beef. You ready for this? He signed an order to import 300,000 metric tons of beef from other countries to be sold here at a discount, beef that comes from, well, we don't really know.
Mr. President, on the beef deal, which countries did you make that deal with? What are the sources
Which
of
deal?
The beef deal?
I don't want to say which countries, but there are a few countries.
There's a lot of ground beef that's sitting in other countries that would potentially help serve Americans, especially lower income Americans who really lean into the lean ground beef. And so this is a very short term fix from the president's perspective that he believed necessary to get lower cost beef onto American plates.
Which countries are we importing the beef from?
I will be very transparent, and that is over at U.S. Trade Rep. I am actually not part of any of those conversations, so I am not sure.
Now, I know you must be getting hungry just listening to that sales pitch. There's just some cheap ground beef that has been sitting in other countries. And they're going to ship it over here for all of us to eat, especially low-income Americans at a discount. Where's it been sitting? Has it been in the sun? Where exactly is it coming from? Who knows? It's above Brooke Rollins' pay grade. Seems maybe a lot of it's from Argentina, which, by the way, has fine, incredible beef. And that's also a country Trump has been trying to prop up their friendly right-wing government.
What do you have to say to U.S. farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, as they are a top
Argentina's fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. I happen to like the president of Argentina. I think he's trying to do the best he can, but don't make it sound like they're doing great. They are dying.
Oh, well, Argentina, under their right-wing president, is fighting for their life. So we should do everything, obviously, we should do to help Argentina, particularly Argentine cattle interests. Side note, earlier this month, the USDA had to recall 30,000 pounds of Argentinian beef that was imported to Florida and Texas without any health or safety inspection. But again, he likes their president, so. Then there's the president's diluted new approach to the war that he declared that's directly added to the cost of your gas. On Wednesday, Trump literally declared, boy, man, they just can't get enough of the AI-generated stuff, right? He declared mission accomplished in Iran, posting this image of himself looking over George W. Bush and the Ayatollah beneath AI fighter jets that appear to be missing half their tail fins. Mission accomplished. Okay. Do you want to write that on Sharpie too? Show it to everyone? Except the war's still on. The U.S. military is still running down its ammunition stockpiles. Iran still isn't letting oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. One got struck, I think, this week. Trump's not going to let facts get in the way of his new map crusade.
Pretty soon I'll be declaring the Hormuz Strait a territory of the United States. We control it. We control it with the blockade. We have a blockade. We control it with a blockade. And I like the idea of declaring it a territory. I view the Strait of Hormuz as an American territory right now. It's an American territory.
Sure enough, here was Trump posting a map of the Strait of Hormuz as new U.S. territory. Nobody beats Donald Trump when it comes to renaming things on maps that are right in front of him. He's governing from a land of make-believe, a shrinking, delusional presidency in which he really thinks he can change reality with a few words. The Strait of Hormuz is hereby declared American territory, and so is Lake Ontario, except it's Lake America. Iran wants so badly to make a deal. The mission's accomplished. There is no affordability crisis. It's a hoax. His will against the real world. And it's worked for him for years. Really. I mean, it's why he's like this. But the real world, like nature, bats last. Gas is more than $4 a gallon. Interest rates are rising. American treasuries and bond yields. The mission is not accomplished. Donald Trump can wave his little magic Sharpie. But the rest of us, all of us, live in reality. We're the ones who have to pay for it all.
A black permanent marker, a laminated map, and a clumsy, sweeping stroke of ink. On a desk inside the Oval Office, Lake Ontario ceases to exist with a flick of the wrist, replaced by a handwritten decree, Lake America. This is not an excerpt from a late-night satire sketch. It is the literal governing strategy of a president confronted with compounding national crises. When an economy groans under the weight of persistent inflation and working families watch their grocery budgets evaporate week after week, the answer emanating from the West Wing is not rigorous policy. Instead, it is an unprovoked trade war against Canada, the very nation that supplies our lumber, our aluminum, and everyday household necessities like toilet paper. To justify this self-inflicted economic wound, the administration's communications machine rolls out AI-generated propaganda, a distorted map that somehow places Washington, D.C. squarely inside North Carolina. alongside a viral image of an American bald eagle attacking a Canadian goose. The sheer irony, of course, is that in the actual real-world encounter that image was pulled from, the goose fought the predator off. Yet, raw political power often breeds a peculiar delusion, the intoxicating conviction that if you simply assert something with enough theatrical bravado, physical reality will obediently fall in line. When domestic beef prices spiked, the White House announced an emergency order to import 300,000 metric tons of cheap beef, a deal so opaque that the press secretary could not even name the supplier countries on camera. In reality, it was an effort to prop up a struggling right-wing government in Argentina, whose leader the president openly favors. But while that arrangement was heralded as a rescue mission for working-class kitchen tables, the Department of Agriculture was quietly forced to recall 30,000 pounds of that very Argentine beef after it slipped into Florida and Texas without undergoing a single health or safety inspection. The pattern is as relentless as it is exhausting. Whenever the real world proves too stubborn or messy to manage, the solution is simply to manufacture an alternate reality using Photoshop and a pen. We saw it years ago with hand-drawn hurricane paths on weather maps. Today, as conflict in the Middle East depletes military stockpiles and sends energy markets spiraling, the White House posts an AI-rendered banner proclaiming "Mission Accomplished" in Iran, complete with glitching digital fighter jets missing half their tail fins. And when commercial oil tankers are struck in the contested waters of the Persian Gulf, the commander-in-chief simply takes to social media to declare the Strait of Hormuz to be sovereign American territory, renaming the Gulf of Mexico, erasing Lake Ontario, floating threats to rebrand the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans as American Ocean 1 and American Ocean 2. These are the desperate theatrics of an aging president ruling over a rapidly shrinking kingdom of make-believe. But the ink of a Sharpie cannot suppress gas prices climbing above $4 a gallon. An AI-generated graphic cannot lower mortgage rates, and a unilateral proclamation cannot redraw international waterways. When an arrogant will collides with the unyielding laws of the physical world, reality always bats last. And while the man in the Oval Office retreats into his vanity projects and paper victories, everyday Americans are left standing in the real world, holding the bill.